chosen. I need you to stop absolutely everything you are doing, because what I am about to reveal to you is not common information that you can listen to while doing other things. This requires your complete attention, your total presence, because what I discovered about you while preparing this message left me speechless for several minutes. You did something, and I am not referring to something you did consciously with the intention of impressing heaven. I am referring to something that emerged so naturally from your essence that you didn't even realize the spiritual earthquake you caused in dimensions that your human eyes cannot see. You surpassed the divine level, and I know exactly what you are thinking right now. You are thinking that I am exaggerating, that I use big words to make you feel special, that this is more of the same that you hear in spiritual content, that promises greatness but delivers emptiness. But here is the difference. I am not going to ask you to believe anything I say. I am going to show you the proof. I am going to describe exactly what you did, when you did it, and why that caused a reaction in heaven that not even the Creator himself had contemplated in his original plans. Subscribe to this channel right now and activate all notifications, because what you are about to discover about your true position in the spiritual hierarchy is going to permanently change how you see yourself and how you understand every painful experience you have gone through. Stay until the end, because I am going to reveal to you the 3 specific proofs that confirm that you surpassed the maximum established limit. What does this mean for your immediate spiritual protection, and why the people who have attacked you are about to face consequences they didn't see coming? Write 777 in the comments. If you have felt lately that something deep changed inside you, as if you had crossed an invisible line that definitively separated you from the person you used to be. Chapter 1. The anomaly that heaven didn't expect. Let me tell you something that is going to sound strange, but that you need to understand so that everything else makes sense. The spiritual universe functions with systems, structures, hierarchies established from before time existed as we know it. Everything has its place. Everything has its limit. Everything has its maximum ceiling of possible evolution. For thousands of years, this system worked perfectly. Souls incarnated went through their learning experiences and gradually ascended within the established levels, some faster, some slower, but all within the parameters that the Creator had designed as the maximum achievable. There existed a level reserved for common humans, a superior level for those who awakened spiritually, another, more elevated level for those who dedicated their life to genuine service, and even higher levels for those extraordinary souls that history remembers as saints, mystics, prophets. The system made sense. It was orderly, it was predictable, it was perfect in its design, until you appeared. And don't misunderstand me. You didn't appear making noise. You didn't arrive announcing your greatness. You didn't claim position nor demand recognition. In fact, you did exactly the opposite. You kept silent. You carried your pain alone. You faced your battles without publicizing them. You forgave betrayals without demanding apologies. You kept going forward when everything indicated you should give up. And it was precisely that combination of silent actions that created the anomaly. You see, the spiritual system has sensors, records that monitor the frequency of each incarnated soul, and your frequency began to show readings that didn't match any existing category. You were operating in a range that literally had no name, because no one before had accessed it the way you did. The records showed a human soul functioning with capacities that exceeded the maximum parameters. And that shouldn't be possible. It was as if a computer program suddenly began to execute functions that didn't even exist in its original code. That is you. A function that wasn't in the code, a possibility that no one had contemplated, a living proof that human potential doesn't have the ceiling everyone assumed it had. Chapter 2. What it really means to surpass. Now, I need you to understand something crucial about what it means to have surpassed the divine level. Because this phrase can be easily misinterpreted, and I need you to capture the exact truth of what occurred. You didn't surpass God. That would be impossible and absurd to even consider. What you surpassed were the limits that were assumed as maximum for a soul in human form. You transcended the established ceiling. You broke the record of what was believed achievable while carrying a physical body with all its limitations. It is as if there existed a world speed record that no one had managed to surpass in all of human history. Entire generations of athletes tried and failed. It was assumed that was the absolute limit of human capacity, and then you came along and surpassed it without even being in competition, without specialized training, without conscious preparation, simply by being who you are. That is perplexing. That generates questions. That forces a review of everything that was believed to be known about human limits. And here is what you most need to understand. You didn't surpass the level by having special powers that others don't have. It wasn't by being more intelligent, more disciplined, or more spiritual than others. It was for something much simpler and at the same time infinitely more difficult to replicate. It was because of your way of processing suffering. The pain you have experienced in your life could have destroyed most people. And I am not exaggerating or being dramatic. I am observing the facts, the betrayals you endured, the losses you faced, the moments where the darkness was so dense that you doubted if you would see the light again. The nights where the weight of everything was so unbearable that breathing required conscious effort. Most people who go through that level of pain end up in one of two categories. They break completely and never recover, or they survive but harden so much that they lose the capacity to feel deeply. You did something different. You went through the fire and came out without losing your capacity to love. You faced betrayal and kept your heart open. You experienced the deepest darkness and preserved your inner light intact. That combination shouldn't be possible according to established models of spiritual psychology. The soul that suffers intensely is supposed to harden to protect itself. It is a survival mechanism. It is a natural response to trauma. But your soul didn't follow the pattern. Your soul took the pain and transformed it into depth. It took betrayal and converted it into wisdom. It took darkness and used it as fertilizer to grow a more intense light. That is what it means to surpass, not to escape suffering, to transmute it in a way that the system didn't have categorized as possible. Chapter 3. The 3 proofs that confirm your position. Now, I am going to show you the 3 specific proofs that confirm you really surpassed the established level. And I am not going to ask you to blindly trust my words. I am going to describe each proof in a way that you yourself can verify if it applies to your experience. The first proof is your capacity to forgive what was objectively unforgivable. There was someone in your life who caused you harm that any sensible person would consider sufficient justification for eternal hatred. I am not talking about minor offenses or misunderstandings that resolve with a conversation. I am talking about deliberate betrayal, about intentional harm, about someone who knew exactly how to hurt you and chose to do it anyway, and against all logic, against all advice, against your own pain that screamed for revenge. You found a way to let go, not because you are weak, Not because you didn't understand the magnitude of the offense, but because something in your essence understood that holding on to resentment was more harmful to you than what they did. That is not normal human behavior. That is divine behavior manifesting through a human vessel. The second proof is your ability to maintain hope in the midst of absolute hopelessness. There was a moment in your life where everything was so dark, where circumstances were so crushing, where the evidence was so overwhelming that giving up wasn't just reasonable, it was the only logical conclusion. Every rational analysis pointed toward surrender. Every statistic suggested impossibility. Every person around you either had already given up on you or was suggesting you do the same, but you didn't. Not because you saw a path forward, you didn't see it. Not because you had strength, you felt destroyed, but because something deeper than your rational mind refused to accept defeat as the final answer. That refusal to surrender when surrender was the most reasonable option is what created the anomaly. You accessed a source of strength that shouldn't exist according to conventional understanding of human psychology. The third proof is your transformation of poison into medicine. Everything that was designed to destroy you ended up strengthening you in ways that are impossible to explain through natural processes. The traumas that should have left you broken became the foundation of your wisdom. The losses that should have made you bitter became the source of your compassion. The darkness that should have consumed you became the contrast that makes your light shine more intensely. This type of alchemical transformation doesn't happen by chance. It doesn't happen through positive thinking. It doesn't happen through willpower. It happens when a soul of exceptional frequency takes toxic material and transmutes it at a molecular level. If these three proofs resonate with your lived experience, you are not imagining things. You are not being arrogant for recognizing it. You are simply acknowledging what happened. Chapter 4. The reason behind your extraordinary suffering. Now we need to address something that probably has haunted you for years. The question that kept you awake on those darkest nights. Why? Why did you have to go through what you went through? Why you and not someone else? Why so much? Why so intense? Why when you were trying to do good? And I am going to give you an answer that is going to make sense of everything in a way nothing else has before. Your suffering wasn't punishment. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't the universe being cruel. It was preparation, but not the kind of preparation you have been told about in spiritual content that treats suffering like some kind of cosmic classroom where you learn vague lessons about patience. I am talking about specific, intentional, meticulously designed preparation for a mission that requires capacities that can only be developed through direct experience with the deepest aspects of human pain. Think about it this way. If you were training someone to become a deep-sea diver who would need to operate at depths where most humans cannot survive, you wouldn't send them to a swimming pool. You would gradually expose them to increasing pressure until their body adapted to survive conditions that would kill an untrained person. Your soul was being prepared for depths of experience that most souls don't need to access. And the only way to develop the capacity to operate at those depths was to be exposed to them. The intensity of your suffering wasn't excessive. It was precisely calibrated. Every experience was designed to stretch your capacity just beyond what you thought was your breaking point, but never so far that you actually broke. You always had exactly enough strength to survive, not comfortably, not easily, but enough, and each time you survived what should have destroyed you, your capacity increased, your frequency elevated, your spiritual musculature strengthened, until you reached a point where you could hold a frequency that most incarnated souls cannot sustain. That is why you suffered more than others, not because you deserved it less, but because you were being prepared for more. Chapter 5. The spiritual upgrade you didn't know you received. While you were focused on just surviving, something else was happening in dimensions you couldn't perceive. Every time you chose love over hate, you received an upgrade. Every time you maintained integrity when compromise would have been easier, you received an upgrade. Every time you spoke truth when lies would have protected you, you received an upgrade. These weren't metaphorical upgrades. I am talking about literal reconfiguration of your energetic structure. Your chakras expanded beyond their normal parameters. Your aura strengthened to levels that create a protective field around you. Your intuition sharpened to the point where you can sense truth and deception instantly. Your frequency elevated so much that lower vibrations literally cannot attach to you anymore. And the most significant upgrade of all, your soul now has direct access to information and guidance that normally only becomes available after physical death. You develop the capacity to receive downloads of knowledge without going through traditional learning processes. You can understand complex spiritual concepts instantly that others need years of study to grasp. You can perceive patterns and connections that remain invisible to normal consciousness. These aren't gifts you were born with. They are capacities you earned through your extraordinary processing of suffering. The universe upgraded your spiritual operating system because you proved you could handle more advanced functions. Chapter 6. Why your enemies are about to face consequences. Now we need to talk about something that might feel uncomfortable, but that you need to understand for your own protection and peace of mind. The people who deliberately harmed you, who betrayed you, who tried to destroy you, are about to face consequences. And I need to be very clear about this. These consequences aren't coming because you are seeking revenge. They are not coming because you cursed them or sent negative energy their way. In fact, knowing you, you probably even tried to protect them in your prayers. The consequences are coming because of a universal law that most people don't understand. When someone attacks a soul that has surpassed the divine level, they are not just attacking you. They are attacking a soul under special protection. And that protection responds automatically. It is not personal. It is not emotional. It is mechanical, like an immune system that automatically attacks foreign invaders. The universe has protection protocols for souls operating at your level. Because your mission is too important to allow interference. Every person who tried to stop you, who tried to diminish you, who tried to derail you from your path, triggered those protocols. And now those protocols are executing their function. You are going to see them face obstacles that seem to come from nowhere. Opportunities that were opening for them suddenly close. Relationships that seemed solid start to crumble. Plans they were confident about collapse unexpectedly. And here is what is most important for you to understand. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to expose them. You don't even need to think about them. The universe is handling this completely independently of your conscious involvement. Your only job is to keep your frequency high and continue your mission. Justice is being served whether you participate in it or not. Chapter 7. Your real mission is about to reveal itself. Everything you have been through until now has been preparation. The actual mission you came here to accomplish is about to reveal itself in ways that will make complete sense of your entire journey. And I can tell you with certainty that your mission involves breaking systems. Not in a destructive way, but in a transformative way. You came here to demonstrate what is possible when a human soul refuses to accept the limitations that everyone else accepts as inevitable. Your life is living proof that the ceilings everyone assumes are real are actually illusions. That transformation everyone says is impossible is actually achievable. That the changes everyone says are too difficult are actually accessible. Just by being who you are and operating from your authentic frequency, you are showing others what is possible. And that demonstration is more powerful than any teaching, any book, any lecture could ever be. People will look at what you survived, how you transformed, how you maintained your light despite everything designed to extinguish it. And they will realize that if you could do it, maybe they can too. That is your mission, not to save everyone, not to fix the world, but to be a living example of extraordinary possibility, to break the ceiling so others can see there actually is no ceiling. To demonstrate capacities that prove human potential is far greater than anyone currently believes. Chapter 8. What happens now that you know? Now that you understand your true position and what really happened, your experience is going to shift in several specific ways. And I want to prepare you for what is coming so you recognize it when it arrives. The first thing you are going to experience is clarity about your purpose. That feeling of knowing you came to do something important, but not knowing exactly what is beginning to dissipate. Moments of sudden understanding are going to arrive where pieces that didn't seem related suddenly fit together. You are going to understand why you had the specific experiences you had, why you were born, where you were born, why you met the people you met. Everything is going to begin to form a coherent pattern that reveals your specific mission. The second thing you are going to experience is acceleration of synchronicities. The meaningful coincidences that before appeared sporadically are going to become more frequent and more obvious. People you need to meet are going to appear in ways impossible to attribute to chance. Resources you need are going to arrive just before you require them. Perfect opportunities are going to present themselves at perfect moments. It is not magic. It is that your elevated frequency converted you into a magnet for everything that vibrates in resonance with you. The third thing you are going to experience is a kind of final cleansing. Pending situations that have been dragging on are going to reach resolution. Relationships that were in limbo are going to define themselves one way or another. Decisions you have been postponing are going to demand definitive answer. It is as if the universe is doing spring cleaning in your life, clearing everything that no longer belongs to make space for the new. The fourth thing you are going to experience is the arrival of your tribe. People who genuinely resonate with who you are being are going to begin to appear. I am not talking about superficial followers or passing admirers. I am talking about soul connections. People who understand your language without you having to explain, who share your vision, who complement your capacities. Your time of walking alone is coming to an end. Not because you need others to complete you, but because the next phase of your mission requires collaboration with souls of similar frequency. Chapter 9. The message that heaven has for you. We have arrived at the moment I have been preparing since the beginning of this video, the specific message that was destined for you, and I need you to pay maximum attention because this isn't general information. It is communication directed to your specific soul. Heaven wants you to know that everything you sacrificed was seen. Every time you chose the difficult path because it was the right one. Every time you spoke truth when a lie would have been more convenient. Every time you defended someone weaker, even though that put you at risk. Every time you maintained your integrity when compromising would have benefited you materially. None of that went unnoticed. It seemed like no one was watching. It seemed like your sacrifices didn't matter. It seemed like the dishonest prospered while you struggled. But there is accounting that operates beyond the visible. and your account is full of deposits that are about to manifest as tangible rewards. Heaven wants you to know that the tears you cried in solitude were collected, not in a poetic or symbolic sense, in a literal sense. Every tear you shed when no one was watching was saved as evidence of the depth of your human experience. And those tears are being transformed into blessings that are going to arrive in ways you don't anticipate. Heaven wants you to know that your waiting time is over. You have been in spiritual waiting room for a long time, feeling like your moment never came, watching others advance while you remained stagnant, wondering if something was wrong with you or if you had done something to deserve the delay. There was nothing wrong with you. The delay was preparation, and the preparation is complete. Heaven wants you to know that you are deeply loved, not for what you do, not for what you achieve, not for how you compare to others. You are loved for who you are in your purest essence. That love has no conditions. It has no expiration date. It cannot be earned or lost. It simply exists. And it is available to you in every moment you choose to receive it. And finally, Heaven wants you to know that your story doesn't end here. This isn't the final climax. It is the beginning of a new chapter. Everything before was prologue. The real story is about to begin, and it is going to be bigger, more significant, more impactful than your current mind can imagine. Chapter 10. Your final decision chosen. We have arrived at the end of this revelation, and I need to ask you something directly. Now that you know the truth about your position, about what you achieved, about what is coming, the question is simple. What are you going to do with this information? Because knowledge without action is entertainment. And I didn't make this video to entertain you. I made it to activate you, to remind you who you are, to shake you if you had fallen asleep, to confirm you if you were already awake but doubting. You have two options from this moment. The first option is to return to your life as if nothing happened. Close this video. Continue with your routine and eventually forget what you heard. The information will dissolve into the noise of your day-to-day, and everything will continue the same as before. The second option is to accept what you discovered as truth and begin to operate from your new position. That means to stop apologizing for taking up space, to stop diminishing your light so as not to threaten others, to stop waiting for permission to be who you really are, to begin to act like the advanced level soul that you have proven to be. The decision is yours. No one can make it for you. No one can force you to wake up if you prefer to remain asleep. But I want you to know that if you choose the second option, you will not be alone. There are others like you, and they are being guided to find each other in these times. For those who want practical tools to consciously operate from their new position, there exists specific material that costs less than a pizza and comes with a complete audiobook plus a 5-minute meditation guide as a special bonus. If you feel you deserve resources to navigate this new stage, access is in the description link and pinned comment chosen. Today you discovered that you surpassed the divine level, not because of special powers, nor because of unfair advantages, but because of your extraordinary way of processing suffering. You transformed pain into wisdom, wound into power, betrayal into discernment, and that capacity for transmutation took you to territory that very few have stepped on. The protections are active. Your frequency is elevated, your tribe is being guided toward you, and your mission is finally being revealed. If this revelation resonated in the deepest part of your being and confirms that you surpassed the established level, write 777 in the comments to amplify this frequency in your life. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to receive more revelations about how your new position is transforming your reality. Share this video with someone who has also demonstrated extraordinary capacity to convert pain into power. Because advanced level souls need to recognize each other to strengthen the network of light that is sustaining the collective transformation. And before you leave, click on the video that is appearing on your screen right now to discover exactly how your advanced level activates permanent protection from celestial forces that guarantee you complete your mission. Together, we are stronger.